Bashers. Bashers. Oh. Hey, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? This weird situation going on with my in-ears. I use my ultimate ears. These are these things that you use for stagecraft. I'm only getting like one side right now, and I don't know why that is. Like the other side is dead. I don't know what's going on, or why this is happening, but I've seldom used them because we don't tour that much. We only go and do these kind of festival things, and this one's been coming out the wire. I'll take the wire and I'll use it every day, and I'll twine it up nice, and I'll put it down, and I'll put it in its little box. It comes in this beautiful little box, this Ultimate Ears box, and it's really very cool. It's got like my name on it, and it's really cool the way that it works. You go to an audiologist, and what they do is they stick this goo all the way down your ear canal, and you bite into like a bite plate, and you sit there for like 10-15 minutes, and then they pull it out, and it's really long and gross. And they go and they make a mold, and in each mold is a speaker, and it's connected to this wire, and it goes to a wireless pack. It goes to, I found out that the problem is not my in-ears, it's the actual cord. There it goes. Now it sounds really good. So it goes to this wireless pack. So you're basically, if you have a wireless mic and you have wireless in-ears, you're completely untethered, and it's really terrific. So you can, run around the stage and, do your whatever antics that you do. And getting used to them is inexplicable. You are kind of closed off from the world, and nowadays stages like rock stages, pop stages, they're quiet. The guitar players don't use amps. They use like they go direct. Basically, they go into like a computer, a simulation, or these amplifiers that are kind of they're called Kempers, and they're modeled after your favorite amps. So there's no sound coming out on stage. It's just in your ears. And like I could say, well, for my ears, my mix, I want bass and drums, so I know where I am. A little bit of Jimmy's guitar, a little bit of John's guitar, and mostly vocal. But half the time I pull one ear out because you cannot feel the crowd. So if you're playing like a really big festival, you want to get that energy. That energy is important for your performance, and you just don't get it. With these, there are models now that they have like some kind of microphone built in, so you get a little bit of both, and they can mix that in and out too, and that's really cool. I have not experienced them yet, but I remember the first time I ever used them, and luckily, but when we got back together after years of being dormant, we played a small club in New York City in Queens, and it took a while for me to get used to it, and I was pulling them in, pulling them out, and then the next show was in front of like 8,000 people or 5,000. I don't even know. It was thousands of people, and it was really scary. And I had them out most of the time, and then I slowly started to get used to it. You can really hear yourself better, but I also am a big monitor, so I asked the guy to have those little floor wedges. I said, can I have 2 of those anyway? Because I just, I'm an old cat, old school dude, and I just like the sound. I like to feel it. You don't really feel the music otherwise. It just sounds very isolating. Tell you, that's my little rant about in-ears. We have 11 people in the room. We've got Easy upvoted, so I can't. I'm saying be sued. I see. Remember, guys, we have the land tortoise. It's going up. It's being given away now. I've gotten a lot of emails about the rules, and the rules are simple. The rules are you just have to be a subscriber. That's it. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And there's a trivia question, and I'll be giving away clues to it. And it's going to be so simple that everybody's going to know the answer to it. And we're going to put everybody's name that subscribes into a hat, and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's going to know what it is. Basically, it's about eye bashers. And I said in previous broadcasts that Sheen and I started Eye Bashers in the noughties. So we became friends around 2000. And I'll give a clue away every day. It's when he lived in New York. We did it in his kitchen. And what's today's clue? Give me a second. I'm going to go find something. It's post 9/11, I'll tell you that much. It's post 9/11. Okay. Here's the major clue. It was the year that a massive milestone in science was completed. It was accomplished. This year, sorry, I have a little bit of allergies tonight. I actually popped an Actifed because out of nowhere, I wasn't cleaning or dusting or doing anything. I just got hit. I think the weather is just hot, cold. Today was very warm. So in this particular year, in the noughties, a very long project, scientific project, had completed. And there'll be more clues to come. Peter Campbell, who lives in Cos Cob on Mad Men. Alginate. Into Preppy says evening. I don't know what alginate means. I should, right? What that word? What's the new vocabulary word of the day? Ray. I was watching Sheen's broadcast and I saw you were in there. I saw that you were going to come over here and I thank you. 16 in the room so far. Good evening from Jamaica. Jamaica the island or Jamaica Queens? My hometown. Upvote is free. It is. If everybody could upvote, the algorithm will really help out. I appreciate it. HST. I've always wondered about the mechanics and what users can hear through them. You're talking about the in-ears. It's very simple. These are UE7s, Ultimate Ear 7s. That means that there's 7 drivers in there, various bass, treble, and mid-range, and they're just speakers, and they go through a wire, and that wire attaches to a belt pack. I'll show you what it looks like. It attaches to this belt pack. I've had this since the dawn of time. Nobody uses this brand anymore, but I was a endorsee of Nady. They invented wireless and they owned the 80s and 90s, and then Sennheiser and Shure and all the other companies. Anyway, I use this pack. This thing goes right into this pack. This transmits. Well, actually, it's the other way around. The monitor mixer, like the microphone, wireless microphone goes to the mixer, goes out to the house so you guys can hear everything. But for the in-ears, it's the reverse. Basically, this is the receiver. So the monitor mixer gets a really good vocal sound and the guitar sound, and he mixes it all together and he sends it back to me wirelessly. So the sound comes from the monitor mixer into this pack. There's a receiver, like a rack mountable receiver. It goes into there and then it comes into here and then it feeds it to me. And I have a little button here where I can change the volume if it's too loud or if it's too soft. But it's a really amazing piece of technology. And here's a great trivia question. Does anyone know in this room right now, 193 people just showed up. Well, thank you, Asheen. He had 800. So that goes to show you what percentage come to see me. Can anybody tell me where and for what artist were in-ear monitors designed for? I'll give you an extra ballot for the land tortoise if you can come up with that in 10 seconds. Anybody? A particular person in a band complained that they couldn't hear what they wanted to hear, and they spoke to one of their roadies, and their roadies designed these things, and then he became the inventor of the in-ear wireless headphone system. Nobody wants that extra ballot, huh? I see Prince, Stevie Wonder, Kiss, Lars. Oh man, you're so close. It was Alex Van Halen. Alex Van Halen complained to to Jerry Harvey. And Jerry Harvey created a company called Ultimate Ears, and then he left Ultimate Ears after he sold them to Logitech, and the world goes around. So anyway, now we got 198 people in the room, so now let's really get to business. Yes, I'm in jail. I just thought that would be a really fun background because of the toilet paper gentleman. Because he was arraigned. I don't know the specifics. I listened to most of Asheen's broadcast. I didn't hear if anybody knows that. Was that sealed? Is he in custody? Like, is he in jail right now? But I mean, obviously, he's gonna do jail time. So I just went on the internet and I found a kind of well-lit jail cell. It's a little sexier looking than probably they look in real life. So yeah, that's why I have that there. Peter Campbell about the tortoise, land tortoise. Is it smaller than a bread box? Ha ha ha. Anyway, it was in the noughties and a very, very important for humanity, a very important science project completed the year that Asheen and I started the original audio-only iBashers. That's it. And I'll have more clues as they go. You're all going to get it eventually. So it's not going to be something terrible. I got Andrew Wolkowicz wrote me earlier and he's like, I got to go through everything. I was like, no, you don't. I'm going to give you clues. You're going to be fine. And I love one of you guys that have been so great so far. I would love for one of you guys to get that. Peter Campbell says the material used for impressions of teeth and ears. I think it's a latex of some kind. I mean, these are made out of metal and silicone, and it's silicone. That's what they shoot down your ear. I should find pictures of it. I have pictures of me in the place getting the glue, the stuff shoved down my ear. It's only because we were playing some really big stages and we hadn't, there were no in-ear monitors last time we had toured. They didn't exist. Well, there were, but we didn't have them. And after that, I think the first band to ever tour with them, like a whole band, was Skid Row because they were opening them for Van Halen. Interpreppy says, good evening from Stockholm, Sweden. Good evening. It's a place I've always wanted to go to. It looks so beautiful. Justin Bailey says, evening, Dirk. Evening, Justin. How are you? Ken Ewan, Aberdeen, Scotland. I'm watching Shetland right now, which takes place in Shetland, which is probably a fictional seaside town in Scotland. But they're always having to call up to Aberdeen to get like forensics and stuff. And it's I'm starting to believe that all these BritBox and BBC shows, it's always about murdered children. What is with the UK and dead kids? It's bad. And they always kill the pet. Like Brian Cox is in this episode and he's got a raven and the vandals come and kill. Like Sharon Horgan did it in the show Bad Sisters. I mean, stop killing the pets, people. Stop it. It's just like when Bambi got killed. You just don't do that. Haven't we learned our lesson? Hit the apex quality. Yeah, I mean, these are, these things cost, over $1,000. They're very expensive. I got a great deal on them, and I'm not afraid to say that Emmett O'Malley, Oisin's brother, got me an in at Ultimate Ears because he was with Enrique Iglesias for 100 years. And, he used them all the time. So he got me the secret handshake, and it was great. It was really, really lovely. Ugly Nugget says, sorry from the island of Jamaica. Much nicer than the Jamaica I grew up in. Believe me. Is Dirk in the slammer with cheap with the toilet paper gentleman? Yes. Toilet paper. He's going to be bargaining toilet paper and for, I guess he's going to need toilet paper. So I guess he'll just, be selling whatever he's got, which is, his ass. Oisin and I, we talked about this earlier today because not only do we talk online, but we actually talk a lot on the phone. And, when he first came on the scene, I remember seeing little tidbits of the stuff. And I'm sure if you go back to previous iterations of iBashers, you'll see that I was very skeptical of him because he looked like I was calling him a grifter and a fraud. I was like, this guy is a reality show. He doesn't really give a shit about watching. He's in it for the money and the vanity and all that stuff. And Then when you see Roman Sharf and all the Paul and all the guys like kind of gushing over him because he's pretty, he's got muscles, and he's the whole package. He's the influencer. He seemed to have a pretty decent working knowledge of a lot of the watches, and especially the big ones, which you all do, and I do. He wasn't talking about like H. Moser, and he was talking about Rolex and all that, all the Daytonas. I just knew that guy. I remember when he got the brick thrown through his Audi R8. I knew instantly. I said, "Oh, this was staged, man. This guy is staging all this shit for clicks and for views." And I'm not trying to say I told you so, but I told you so. I knew it. Being a bartender in New York and just being a street thug from Queens, and a part-time knacker from the west of Ireland, I know when I meet people, you can just tell people's, when they're genuine and when they're not genuine. And this guy just came off as such a huckster, snake oil salesman, fraudster, all of the things. And I was like, this is like a reality show. And then he started off with all the guys in the office, and they were all, with their loops, and they're doing all their stuff, and they're looking at watches, and then there was the music and all that bullshit like you saw on the Osbournes or the Kardashians. It was all the adventures of the toilet paper gentleman. And and people are like, I'll give Anthony a chance. And I'm like, I've met so many of these dickheads. I've just met so many of them, ugh, God, it's just ridiculous. Omega fanboy. Of course you're an Omega fanboy, right? Because they're wonderful. The prison, the backdrop is TPG's view. Yeah, well. Ben Waite's Yorkshire lad. I love the Yorkshire accent. I can't do it, so I won't. But I know that David Coverdale is from Yorkshire, and he has the most incredible. I know that I always call him the Richard Burton of rock, even though Richard Burton was, of course, Welsh. But whenever you hear David Coverdale, DC here, and we're going to be doing our final tour, he has the most amazing resonant Yorkshire. I'm sure I did a terrible job there, but I think the Yorkshire accent is absolute accent pornography. It's amazing. IEM, that's what they're called. In-ear monitors. Everybody else getting past these. We've got Fernando, Joe. We've got head groundsman. We've got Eddie's in the room. Ray said the Osmonds. Yeah, Ed and Branson. I'm sure that the all the in-ear companies made a fortune off of Branson, Missouri, because it's unbelievable. Oh, alginate is an impression material. Thank you so much for my edification. Thank you. Alginate. Is it alginate or alginate? It looks like alginate. It's an impression. Yeah, this stuff is it's silicone, and it was pink. I don't have my hard drive plugged in that has all of my photography on it. So, because something's going on with my system. I had a couple of problems a while back, and it turns out it's like my major media drive where I keep all my stuff, like music files and pictures. It is not feeling well. So I'm going to have to order another drive just like it and copy it and just hope that just goes seamlessly. Because it definitely makes my computer unhappy. It gives it an upset stomach. Justin Bailey is good, and he's on mulled wine tonight. I don't have any alcohol. I just had some of this beautiful Julius Meinl coffee that Michaela from the Watch Fashion Police sent me a big giant bag of it, and I grind it, and I make I put it in the Nespresso pods. I know that a lot of you guys are purists and you don't like it, but I like it. It's easy, and I can use whatever coffee I want because I have these pods that I can refill, and I like them a lot. Graham Cartwright says that Shetland does exist. Well, who the hell wants that kind of publicity of all these murders? It's the show is Jessica Fletcher in Scotland. It is Murder, She Wrote, because it's just that guy. I don't know his name. His name is Jimmy Perez, right? He's got a Spanish name to make everything very PC. Aren't you PC to have a Spanish name, an inexplicable Spanish name in a Scottish town. And, you know, he's a little too Jessica Fletcher for me. I'm watching it because I know that Ashley Jensen shows up and I cannot wait for her because she's a genius from Extras. Pure Palm says, "Good evening, Dirk. Kind regards to you and the good folks in the chat." Yeah, oh, from Calgary. You know, when I was a kid, I remember the Calgary Olympics. That was a big one. Remember that very well. R.D. Ray, lands of AKG in the house. AKG, like, as in the microphone company? Or does that mean, what does that mean exactly? My very first microphone I ever had, I bought it because Ronnie James Dio had it. It's called the AKG G330BT. I'll never forget that. Never forget it. Daniel L. Evening from Brooklyn, Shetland. Settle in, my brother. You're going to be captivated. Great series. Okay, yeah, I'm settling in, man. I'm not attempting to judge it. I just think it's a little Jessica Fletchery so far. He's got too much intuition, and too many people spill the tea on him. You know, it's just a little too. It's a little too cuckoo. Scott E. Love. Well, hello via LLC in Roosevelt Island. Talk to me. I am sitting in Long Island City right at this moment. This is where I live, where I've lived for 30 years. It's changed a lot. Roosevelt Island. What do you do on Roosevelt Island? Roosevelt Island, for people in the room that don't know what it is there's a strip of land under the 59th Street Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge, now stupidly called the Ed Koch Bridge, that no one calls it. You know, we're renaming all these things. The Governor Cuomo Bridge. It's this very, very sizable island, and it's residential, and it's been weird for a really long time. People, you live there, you have to get there via tram. There's a tram that goes from the east side, from 2nd Avenue in Manhattan, and you take the tram. It goes alongside the 59th Street Bridge and then down into Roosevelt Island. There's a bridge in Long Island City as well that you can drive or bike to, but it's a very isolated thing. And you're in this, it's mostly apartment buildings. I think they're kind of Lux now, and NYU has a presence there, but it's like this little island in the middle of the East River, and it is very, very, very cool. I like going there because it's got obviously great seaside, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Eddie says he will be tatted up in swastikas in no time. The timepiece gentleman, the toilet paper gentleman. I mean, in order to survive, I don't know if people do that. Is that what they do? They join the Nazi gang in prison. I guess you have to join some kind of gang, right, when you're in there. I mean, I don't know how that works, and I hope I never find out. But I watched Oz, and other than a lot of gratuitous, creepy gay sex, there was that whole Nazi thing. J.K. Simmons, where he kind of started his career there. I know he was already an older guy, but I remember J.K. Simmons on that show, and he was the head of the Nazi gang. And, people in prison join that shit for survival. It's not because they're Nazis, I don't think. It's like all those movies that you've seen, like the one with Edward Furlong and Edward, what's his name? The actor that everybody likes that I don't. The guy from Fight Club. I think he's over. I think I always look at him as he's always acting. Yeah. Let's see. Show. Justin Bailey says Archie called him out early on. The Pontiff has his faults, but knows a scammer. Listen, I've said, Oshin said, we're big fans of the Pontiff. We're big fans. Unfortunately, the Pontiff is easily manipulated by his villagers, the guys with the torches and the spears, that get in his ear, like Bear Clooney and, guys like that. I mean, Archie's a good guy. Yeah, he said stuff about that, but then he also was convinced that he was charming, and, people are attracted to attractive people that look successful. So if you look successful and you're attractive, people are going to jump on your website or your podcast or your stuff because they're going to want to be more like you, especially if you give out tips and tricks like, here's my special sauce to keep a man, or here's that perfume that drives women wild. The timepiece gentleman was, let's face it, by far he's the best looking. I think Adrian Barker is a very handsome man, but he's not, he's not flaunting that. He's a good-looking guy. He's not all muscled out and, you know, looking like being a stud. And this is my Rolex, and I got 3 Daytonas. I mean, that guy sold himself in such a way that the whole friggin' world in the watch community, um, basically, you know what he did? He single-handedly destroyed the gray watch market. And you can quote me on that. Because none of you, nor I, nor anybody can trust any of them ever again, because he exposed it for what it is. Everybody trusted and I'm not going to name names and be that provocative and do that. But, hey, man, I used to click on all of those things to see what the prices were. It's like real estate. Realtors are like I said whores on the thing because I wanted to talk about the whore, gray market or whores. Realtors. My brother is one. A good friend of mine's wife is one. They're good people. There's good people everywhere. But they're whores and they set the market price. They jack the living fuck out of the prices. They gouge the shit out of you. Well, how did the Rolex bubble happen? Because they stopped producing the watches? No, they make 1 million watches a year. That's a lot of watches. 1 million. To 1 million people. I know there's 8 point whatever billion people, but what's the 1% buy Rolex mostly, or maybe the 2% buy Rolex? It's a very expensive item to lavish upon yourself or gift on somebody. And yes, thank you. I got one finally, and it's great. And it was due to the charity of people. I would have loved to have bought this for myself. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I don't make enough money to justify the lavishing something so beautiful and precious on myself. I mean, giving gifts is a lot better than receiving them. It's very, very humbling and difficult to receive such a incredible gift. I mean, and it just humbles the shit out of you. You try to walk a good life and try to help people as much as you can, but that's an extraordinary thing to receive a gift like that. And I know these are the whores, the gold diggers and the sugar babies and all those people that, maybe trade their snatch or their junk for, trinkets and Cartier and furs and all the luxuries, travel, first class, everything, always staying at the Four Seasons. I love to do that shit too. I just put it on a credit card and deal with that crap later. That's what we just do because I love a great luxury hotel. I mean, I really love a great. I got spoiled because my dad, as you guys all know, my dad worked for American Airlines. I flew for free most of my life, and then was able to spend. I have a partner who's pretty fiscally smart, and we would just put stuff on a card and just pay it off as we went. And make, like, I don't know how most couples work, but like I'll pick up the dinners and the stuff and you grab the hotel. But we used to get great deals on hotels too. I love a great hotel. I love a great hotel. I'm not going to say any names of hotels because I don't want people to go there, but you know, everybody whores themselves out. What's a whore in this world? And anybody have a comment on? I think the biggest whores in the entire world right now are the gray market, because they're the ones that fuck this whole thing up. And toilet paper gentleman, the timepiece gentleman, he's the guy that just smeared the shit all over the place. He broke that wide open. And now what do you do? Now what happens? Consignment's out. It's gonna have to have a new name. It's like trying to rent. I rented an apartment here. I'm doing the little equation with realtors and being the equivalent of the gray market. Isn't it fucking hilarious that if you have an apartment or a house and you want to sell it, that you call this third party person that has nothing to do with you, and then they get that massive commission? I mean, when is that going to go the way of the dodo bird? Like all these internet jobs, all these internet services have killed so many industries, like the travel industry. Remember travel agents? You would call your travel agents. You'd call Lois. Hey, Lois, Bob and I are thinking about going on a Mediterranean cruise. Who do we fly? What ship line? And what ports do we go to? And that's who you went to because you didn't know what to do. But now you've got all these travel things online. It killed. There are no more travel agents. They're very, very few. There's very few. You can just do all that shit yourself online. very strange. Eddie says the oddest drink you've ever made in your career. I'll tell you what I won't make. I won't make Irish car bombs for obvious reasons. No. Must be the cool little hipster hat. No, it's not. I'm a hat guy. I like wearing hats. I don't wear pork pies or any of those kind of hats. I just like this is like the Michael Nesmith from the Monkees look. The guitar player from the Monkees. His mother, by the way, invented white out. So he was as rich as fucking. He didn't have to worry about anything. J.E. says, I think he might be 1 foot short of the whole package. Is he short? I'm not really sure. I don't know how tall he is, but he's a great looking guy and he's muscly and he bamboozled the entire watch community and the gray market. And everybody was doing pictures. They were all doing, I saw all the group photos of him and all the unmentionables. They were all, yay. And that guy the whole time was playing everybody, and a couple of them went, financially went down because of him. And then they have to do the whole thing. Look at this. Shane McG. Isabel loves you, dude. Thank you. €5.99. You get the bing, bing, bing. Super chats help the chat. Super chats get the chat going. Super chats keep Dirk out of the bar. Thank you, Shane, so much. Hey, Isabel. What does Isabel wear? What's her watch of choice? That's what I want to know. MJOH says that's not Yorkshire Ale. I know it's not, but David Coverdale is from Yorkshire and he speaks like that, and it's beautiful. Scott E. Love, Dan, Bronx Science for me. A lot of my friends went to Bronx. You had to be very, very smart to go to Bronx Science, but the clue has nothing to do with Bronx Science at all. These guys are all talking. Drew KD9YWY is asking me, Dirk, your thoughts on the Kiss avatars. Well, what do you think I think about the Kiss avatars? Listen, like I always said, I was a Kiss fan when I was a kid. You had to be there. I'm not going to belabor the whole thing because it's ridiculous. It's a very small little thing. I mean, listen, that's the way that those guys are going to retire. It's the way those guys are going to continue to pull in revenue. The whole world is going to go Avatar. ABBA did it first, right? They have that big venue. They built a giant arena in England, in London. It's amazing, and people go to see ABBA now. People actually go to see ABBA. Incredible. They're going to go see Kiss, and and Paul's going to sound great again because he hasn't been able to sing for the last 7 years. He's going to sound great, and the kids are going to love it. It's going to be like going to the circus and all that stuff. Daniel L. Scotty Love, also Springfield Gardens High School. Oh, you guys are all Queens dudes. Springfield Gardens. Yeah. Hit the Apex says, go SSD 500 plus minimum. No, actually, the drive that is going wonky is a 4 terabyte. My system is, I have 2 8 terabyte backups that are constantly backing up my system. And I've got 4 terabyte drives where I store video files, audio files, stuff I make for my records and stuff. It's a lot of stuff, but I was trying to figure out which one it was. And it is the one that I keep my iPhoto, where I take all my digital photography and videos and all that stuff. It's on that drive because when I plug it in, it goes really cuckoo. RD Ray says, Julius Meinl's from my hometown. Is it Mainl or Meinl? I'm assuming it's Meinl, like the cymbal company. Man, Michaela, the beautiful, incredible Michaela de Chatillon. She's from the Watch Fashion Police that joins us on Mondays. She has a Viennese coffee house, and she serves that. And she sent me a bag. It is absolutely delightful, and it's funny because I was looking through my pictures recently, and I was looking at some of my when Machine lived in a town outside of Venice before he lived there. We're all sitting at a table and we're all drinking coffee, and it's Julius Meinl. I didn't know I'd ever had it before, which is crazy. So what do you guys think? You think the toilet paper gentleman's going to go to prison? You think he's going to get off? You think what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to the gray market? Do you think it's going to bounce back? Now, from what I can tell, the watch prices aren't getting any better, right? They're not getting any worse. It's just kind of flatlined. It's more affordable than it ever was. I don't know. I don't know. Graham Cartwright says Jimmy Perez's name is from a sailor from the Spanish Armada. Yeah, I mean, that's what he said, but he didn't really seem to know. And he was just kind of telling that weird girl to shut up. RD Ray says, yes, AKG is in the company. Yeah. They still have it somewhere. Ben Waite says, Dirk, you need to greet the folks around New York with a E-up. E-up? Translation, how's it going? From the Dale. I guess I'm not from that particular segment of Queens because I don't know E-up. But that's really, really funny. E-up. Yeah. So yesterday we were talking about Breitling, and I got a million freaking messages about Breitling. And all of a sudden, every single commercial on YouTube, every single thing was going crazy with me and Breitling. I couldn't get away from it. So I decided tonight for watches, I'm gonna try to start this thing because Breitling watches I have total respect for, and I'll get one eventually. I want to look through a couple of them, and it's my mission to get John Hamm to become the brand ambassador for Breitling because they need a macho, masculine, big guy because they're big watches, they're strong watches, and he's a large guy. They definitely need a leg up when it comes to the market share because they get no love whatsoever. So I thought we'd start off with Breitling watches. We're going to talk about watches tonight, right? Why shouldn't we talk about these? Let's look at some of these. Aren't these absolutely fucking beautiful? I mean, my God. Nobody gets any love, gives any love to this company that's been around since 1873 or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know it's the 1800s. And they make these big, giant chunks of horology that are so beautiful. And some of them are more beautiful than others. But they don't have any kind of market share. I know that they bought Geneva. I know that that's a thing. Like anybody cares. I don't think that they do. But what is their strategy? They have some of the most beautiful dials I've ever seen in my entire life. So I thought we'd go through a couple of them. So we've got the Avenger, right? That's kind of the hot watch right now for Breitling. If they have anything that's hot right now, the B01, the chrono model. It's a beast it's a monster freaking watch. And I like the Breitling with the B on the top instead of that stupid I know that they're an aviation oriented military guy watch brand. But look at the different colors. You got the beautiful green, you have the red accents on the seconds. I mean, it's just a beautiful piece. Look at this hand grenade. It's beautiful. I absolutely love that. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. Then you got, of course, the all-time biggie of the biggies, right? You have the Navitimer. This is a watch that's been everybody's worn it. The one thing that's weird about it is that it doesn't really have a bezel. It's got like that metal thing around the side, and then you've got so much information going on here. It does so many different things, but it doesn't have. It's got like the rehaut is kind of slanted, and it's a deep watch. It's a very, very, very big piece of kit, as they'd say across the sea. And that's $6,500 for all that kind of watch. Absolutely beautiful. Wow, the Super Ocean. I mean, does anybody love this watch? I think it's so fucking beautiful. I mean, just their dials alone, their combinations, the quality, these are absolutely beautiful. It's a 42 millimeter watch, and look at that thing. Intense two-tone turquoise dial. Absolutely beautiful. There's a 44 millimeter for the bigger guys, 300 meters. I mean, God, why are they not getting any? Wouldn't that look great on John Hamm? It would look great. Here's a white dial Navitimer. Look at this beautiful thing. I mean, my God, let me blow this up so you can really have a look at that thing. Holy smokes. That is so beautiful. How many people out there tonight have a Breitling? And what was the thing to make you a Breitling purchaser? I would love to know. Anybody? Look at that thing. Look at the beautiful snow white dial with these anodized, or that's probably heat treated to make the indices in the hands, and that second hand with the arrowhead tip turned blue. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. See, there's not a lot of people. I lost about 40 people in the room because I'm looking at Breitlings. But you know what? I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to be the guy that got John Hamm to be the brand ambassador for Breitling, because I think it's a company that deserves a lot more than they get, you know. And now that the Rolex thing is not, while it's not over, it's just not as big as it was. Here's a crazy watch, the Emergency. This is the one that's got the thing, you pull it and it talks to a satellite, and it'll send. I watched the commercial, and it was in like Nepal, and this guy was on a motorcycle in the desert, because that works obviously. And these two, what looked like Hare Krishnas, came and pulled him out of quicksand. But it's got a super quartz movement. It's $13,000 though for a battery operated. I mean, you could just get an Apple Watch. Just saying. Now here's the Breitling Navitimer that I love, the Cosmonaut. I just think that this is so absolutely gorgeous. I love this pistachio one too. Easy is like, yeah, the pistachio one. Yeah, I know. It's true. But this one I just think says it all. It's just an absolutely beautiful piece of kit. Look at that thing. Yeah. And that was I think Scott Carpenter wore that first, right? Let me see if it says that down here. 62, Scott Carpenter blasted off in the Mercury Atlas 7 spacecraft wearing none other than a Navitimer Cosmonaut. So technically this predates you know, obviously the Speedmaster is the first watch on the moon. This is the first one in space. Absolutely beautiful. And look at this thing, man. Does this not rival like Patek when you're looking at crazy? And look at the B at the end of the seconds hands. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Look at the complications on this thing. Unbelievable. I mean, that's a work of art. That's a piece of art on your hand, on your wrist. So beautiful. This is for 44 millimeters. It's got a Rulio bracelet design, which is unbelievable. Deep blue complex style with chronomat collection. It's one calendar adjustment per 1,461 days. 18 karat red gold, not pink gold or not rose gold. And it's $15,000. Well, what would that cost if it was Rolex? What would that cost if it was, Audemars Piguet, or what would that be? I mean, that is one of the most beautiful things. Love to see how about an ad campaign with John Hamm in that. And this, look at this. This is one of the most simple things you could possibly imagine. This is the top time. I absolutely love this. I would totally wear this. It's simple. I love the squared off subdials. I love the difference in the hues between the quarters of the dial. I love the track along this. Everything about it. Look, the white accents on the side. It's incredibly beautiful. Let me blow that up so everybody can get a great gander at this thing. The top time is beautiful, man. It's absolutely beautiful. Why aren't more people going for this thing? Breitling is dead. Nobody cares about Breitling. You don't see anything. But now I'm getting tons of commercials. They had enough money to pull off the sale of the Geneva. They got that. I don't know how they did it. JMB says that Miles Davis wore a Breitling Navitimer. He sure did. I saw a whole bunch of stuff about that. Now everybody's in here. Here's Sergeant 0331, both the Super Ocean. It's like, don't care who loves it at the Apex. Graham Cartwright says, in my humble opinion, they're too big and heavy. Designs are okay. The designs are beautiful. These are not for twinks, man. Breitling. I just came up with their slogan. Breitling. Not for twinks. It's not for twinks. It's for manly men. It's for big guys, big wrists, big hairy paws, And they don't have any. They have Charlize Theron. She's beautiful. One of the most beautiful creatures that ever walked the face of this earth. They had Brad Pitt. They don't now. They had Adam Driver, who just looks like he's from another galaxy. That guy, I don't know. The only people who are into him are fetishists because he's weird. Uh, Hit the Apex says Breitling, as always, had something. They do. They have something, and it's just because they're not. They're just not the zeitgeist. They're not in the watch zeitgeist. Richard Mille is hot right now, because they got Barbie to be their spokesperson, and they're not affordable to any human beings. The 1% of the 1% can get Richard Mille, and that's kind of sad. And then the Breitling Endurance Pro. This is not my cup of tea. This to me looks like a Nublo, or what are those APs that are like amphibious. Not my thing, but you can just see all of the work that goes into this. So much craftsmanship into these, like Richard Mille. This looks just as over designed. I just love the B on the end of that. I think that's so beautiful, and the colors are cool too. Anyway, I'm gonna stop my rant on Breitling. I just think that it's a company that needs to get an ambassador that can they're an aviation company. I mean, they're known for being pilots watches, but you got IWC, Big Pilot, you got the GMT Master for the commercial airline pilots. You have all these different kinds of aviation. They need to they do commercials for like jet fighters, but they had like TNA. There was a lot of TNA. Oh, it's Jesse or Lisa. I'm waiting for you when you come back from your mission. All this corny shit. No, get Tom fucking Cruise to do it. Give him all the money in the world, or maybe he'll just do it. He loves watches, and I think does he wear Breitling? What does he wear, Tom Cruise? If anybody knows, I actually do not know. Sergeant 0331. What brought me to buy one was the size of it, right? Well, because when you have like Oshin style tree trunk wrists, you can't wear the 39, 36, 38 millimeter watches. Even 40 is like kind of a judgment call, you know and that's the problem. I have a 7.25 wrist. This is a 40 millimeter watch. It's perfect. I can go up to 42. Anything past 42, I look like a Malaysian tranny, and it's just no good, and I can't wear it. And I really don't think that people should wear big watches. I think they look ridiculous. People should stop wearing big watches. Wear a watch that suits you. Try them on. You need to have a little bit of skin on both sides so the bracelet comes down. That's the best way to have a watch, especially if you're wearing a suit. If, like, say you're going to a gala. This is all Monday Night Fashion, Watch Fashion Police. You've got a suit jacket and a shirt cuff, and you're a smaller person, so that's going to be tailored to your smaller arm. How are you going to wear that big stupid watch? It's not going to work. It's going to not go under your sleeve. It's just going to look ridiculous. Anyway, Easy says, moi, love the color pistachio doll is my mom's favorite color and dad's favorite ice cream. I love pistachio ice cream, but you're constantly doing this. That's why I don't like almonds, because you're constantly, I hate that. The king of all nuts is the cashew. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Cashews are number one. Oh yeah, the Sergeant 331 says, "Oh yeah, don't pull it or you get fined thousands of dollars." Yeah, that's the emergency thing that goes to satellites, and you get the Sri Lankans to come and rescue you from the underwater shark cage, as they would like to say. Vintage Breitlings. Yeah, sure. It's probably really affordable. We could go on Chrono right now. I could be like Tim and go on Chrono and look at it. They're selling for peanuts, because they're not getting any love, because they don't, or they haven't. They're not in the zeitgeist because they haven't found it. Rolex doesn't need anybody's help. They've got Roger Federer. He doesn't play tennis anymore, but he's still an amazing, he's the GOAT forever, no matter whether or not he's got the record. He doesn't anymore, but he's got a lot of other records, and he's a classy fucker, and Rolex is for classy people, and that's great. And then you have Novak Djokovic, and you have all the other guys, and you've got Rafa he plays tennis with his Richard Mille, and that one he has is a $250,000 watch, which is crazy. Daniel L says that Simon Mann wore an emergency. Well, I mean, it's a lot of money for a crazy looking quartz watch. I would much rather have the Omega, the X was X33, right? Um, Scotty Love, not a big fan of the bullet bracelet. Just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think that bracelets. The oyster bracelet is probably the most beautiful bracelet of all time. I've said this a million times. Let me see if I can get it out of its watch roll right now. Knocking stuff over. Omega's watches. Some of the I hate the one that came on the the second to last iteration of the Speedmaster, but this Omega bracelet, it's like a president. It's absolutely incredible, silky and beautiful. Bracelets are an important thing. Omega bracelets, they didn't quite have it down the way Rolex did. Why fuck with something that's perfect already? The Oyster bracelet is perfect. The Jubilee is perfect. These are perfect iterations of bracelets, and they don't need to be changed. Breitling definitely, however, needs to work on it. Everybody should have a tapered bracelet. I'm sorry. They should just be tapered. It's not a good thing. JMB says Breitling has a split-second chronograph, extremely expensive and hard complication to make for a great price. Well, everybody's got their crazy thing. Omega makes tourbillons. Does anybody wear them? Does anybody want them? No, absolutely nobody. Yeah. Hit the Apex says John would be so good if Brad doesn't do it. Just go to space and fuck it. Yeah, I mean, we looked it up earlier. John Hamm does not have he's the voice of American Airlines. He's the voice of Mercedes-Benz. There's a lot of other stuff. He's not doing he never became the matinee idol that he probably should have been because he got famous too late. His absolute hubba years were done during Mad Men, and he wasn't allowed to work out because it was the 60s, and Matthew Weiner wouldn't let him get all ripped and buff, and he couldn't be in a Marvel movie, and he would have been the fucking greatest Batman ever with that jaw and that look, but it didn't happen. But he's a big star, and people love him because he's also really fucking funny, and he'd be great. I think if anybody knows anybody at Breitling or knows John Hamm, they should reach out and say, hey, you should be the guy for Breitling, right? Dan L says, hey, Scotty Love, have you ever tried it on? I didn't like the look of it in pics, but when you tried it on, you felt like silk was amazing. I tried one on too, and I could not believe how silky it was. It was absolutely beautiful. I think they're beautiful. Scotty Love loves the Top Time. Yeah, I tried one on too, and there's a jewelry store that sells a lot of watches, and it's funny because they had a Milgauss. This is a couple of years ago, and it was when the Milgauss was kind of in the price toilet. But this guy wanted a lot of money. He wanted like 11.5, and I was like, that's selling for like 9.5 right now. Of course, it went up after that, but this guy you could just see he was being a dickhead. Breitling Chronomat Bentley edition. Saw photos of it, hated it, put it on. Green dial in the sun, amazing. That's the pistachio one. Oh, that's a Chronomat. The green dial is beautiful. I have two friends. I'll just call them C and K, and they have a Bentley. They're wealthy, and they're wonderful, down to earth, beautiful people. And they have that Bentley Bentayga. That's what it's called. Is it the Bentayga? It's the Bentley SUV. I mean, it's a monster thing. But where I'm in the car and I see all the B's because the Bentley B, and then I look at the clock, but it's a Breitling clock. There's a Breitling built into that, and I think when I was a kid, American cars used to partner up with all kinds of designers, the Mark Cross edition, the Gucci edition, Hermes this, Hermes that, and they all would have like Timex, or I never saw Rolex, but I did see a bunch of other brands, American brands like Bulova in cars, like the little clocks on the dashboards would be a collab, as everything's called today. But anyway, they have, because the B is so similar from Bentley to Breitling, you'd miss it quickly. But if you look at it, and I was like, oh shit, it's a Breitling clock. The car was sick. It was really crazy. Despain loves the large all black Avenger 45 millimeters or 47. I think it comes in both, and that's way too big for me. Harrison Ford is a Breitling guy. Well, Harrison Ford, unfortunately, is now an old man. I tried to watch about 15 minutes of the Indiana Jones movie, and it just looked so weird because they were doing some kind of CGI treatment to make him look better. And he moves like an old guy, too. I love him, but, hey, man, you need somebody fresh and new. Eddie dropped out of jewelry less than a year and tracked down Charlie Parker on 54th Street, who mentored him for the next 3 years. Yeah, wow, absolutely true. Amazing. Swatch. Well, hey, they're owned by a private equity firm, so if Swatch bought them, they probably would immediately do that, John Travolta, I've seen him in an ad for Breitling, but John Travolta is a very polarizing movie star. John Travolta, he's a Scientologist, likes to give his pilot a kiss on the mouth, does a lot of stuff that's a little weird. Daniela says, the staff at Breitling Boutique in WC could not be nicer. I believe it. Listen, they got to sell some watches, and I'm going to try to help them. I want to be that guy. I want to help out that brand because I think it's a beautiful, storied brand with so much history and so much wonderful stuff. They get no love. Ray. €2. Stop. Refurg watch dealer to horse. Disrespect to horse. I don't know what any of that means, but thanks. Yeah, it's just the gray market. I lost 40 viewers when I was I'm not usually a number watcher, but it was like the whole Breitling thing. But watch, I'll just pull up a bunch of Rolex and watch them all come back in. Rolex. What's the algorithm? Rolex. The man on the moon, Omega. Yeah. So if you could just give us an upvote, it'll really help. And don't forget, you guys, that we are going to be giving away the I'm going to pull it up for you right now. Give me 1 second. So beautiful. So beautiful. Okay. This is the watch, my friends. It's going to be given away to one of you beautiful people. It's the all green iteration, so that's not the one. So let me go find the one that it is. And yeah, that's the one that it is. And this is the picture that I've been putting up a lot because it looks great. There it is. So, why did that do that? 1 minute, please. I gave you the wrong one. Okay, give me a minute. I'm like Archie Luxury. Give me a minute, please. That's the watch. So that's the one. So we're going to be giving that away in 2 weeks' time. All you have to do is be a subscriber and tell us, and we're going to ask you the night of the show, and I'm going to have everybody's names that subscribe, a full subscriber list. You're going to have to be watching the show when it happens. It's going to happen on the Wednesday, 2 weeks from 2 days ago. And I'm going to ask you a trivia question. Trivia question is, when did Asheen and I start the original iteration of Eyebashers, which was in the noughties, and it was the year that a milestone scientific experiment / study / program was finished, concluded, that actually is going to change the entire world. And it has, to a degree. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel. And that's it. And you guys, there's 125 in here. At one point, I had 200 and something. John Travolta used to wear a Navitimer. He did. And they had ads with him, but for some crazy reason, they got rid of him because he's kissing pilots and he's a Scientologist. Jem Hader says, funnily enough, my wife, not a watch person, casually mentioned she really liked the Avenger B01 chronograph 44. I was speechless. I mean, it's a big watch for her, but she likes it. I mean, it's probably too big for her, but maybe she likes it for you. Merry Christmas, right? That would be nice. Daniel says, Brooklyn love IWC. IWC. Listen, IWC came out of nowhere and stole the whole hearts of the pilots, especially in Europe, right? Because they're not wearing Breitling, are they? Tom Cruise wears a really cool quartz digital tag in Jerry Maguire. Yeah, I mean, that was Jerry Maguire was a big movie, but it was before Tom Cruise was Tom Cruise, right? He was still Tom Cruise, but This is a whole other level, right? The whole other level of Tom Cruise. Eddie says Novak is on roids. No, he just doesn't eat meat. He's gluten-free and all those things. What do you guys think for the next show, which is going to be Tuesday? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and this watch could be yours. And what year did we start iBashers in the noughties? The original version, which was a year that they completed a study, a scientific study of something. Tell me what it is. You know, Big Papa says cashews aren't nuts, they're droops. There you go. Anyway, that's it for me tonight. And I wanted to thank everybody who came on in, and thanks for coming on over for Machines. We talked about all the whores in the gray market. We talked about the timepiece gentleman, or as I refer to him as the toilet paper gentleman, because he's going to need to stock on that so he can trade that, so he doesn't have to give up his arse. And I hope his accommodations are nicer than the ones behind me. And I don't wish bad things to happen to anybody, but this guy obviously knew what he was doing. This is a premeditated fraud. This is a guy that went after people, good people, and even like all the gray market whores that followed him. They saw if they rode on his coattails, they could be as big and popular, but they're all ugly, so then it's not going to work. Show me one guy that looks as good as a timepiece gentleman. No. But anyway, that's it for me tonight. And I just want to thank everybody for showing up. And as always, wish Carolyn Martin a speedy recovery from her cold. And we love you. And we didn't see you in the chat tonight, but we're thinking about you. Tobster, you showed up at the very end. Good thing TPG has lots of social experience. Yeah, he did like a gay porno, right? Or something like that. Wow. I mean, that must be really tough, right? Must be tough. What was that like when you were in the gay porn industry? It was terrible, right? Just kidding. Thanks, everybody. Have a really great night. It was a great one. And thanks for all coming in. I'll see you on Tuesday. See you Monday for the Watch Fashion Place with Asheen and Michaela. Until then, thanks so much. Good night.